This is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. This is King Shaw of New Black World Order TV. I got Rebecca Keel here. She's running for Senate Council in what district?
The second.
All right, let's go in.
All right.
What is different about you than the common average politician?
Oh, well, the first thing is I'm not a politician, and I know politicians often say that, but I didn't go to school for political science. I went to school for social work, how to be a counselor, studying human behavior, and really just getting down to the nitty-gritty of like what are basic human wants and needs.
Okay.
I'm also a policy nerd, so I see individuals connected to systems all the time. I used to work at a rehab, an intern there, completing my master's in social work from VCU, and I saw so many people, not only in that setting, but various settings I have worked in, who are individuals doing their thing, but the systems have failed them so often. So I'm constantly thinking about how systems interact with people, and especially how local government can make that a lot easier for a lot of folks when they don't.
Okay. What is some of the pressing issues that you see that needs to be addressed in the city? And what would make you the person that could get those issues solved?
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues facing Richmond. We all know the big few. So it's public education, it's our transportation system, and all that is kind of under transparency and inclusivity in decision-making processes with the budget and with policies that they do right up here at City Hall. So with education, I mean, we need to fully fund Richmond public schools. Not only that, but so many children who go to the schools. I do a lot of after-school work through the Richmond Peace Education Center. So many children are traumatized by the environments that have been produced by living in poverty, living in a racist town. Richmond is the capital of the Confederacy, you know, and it's still an old white boys club, and that's really and truly what it is, you know. So for folks living on legacies of racism, that manifestation is public housing, is bad infrastructure, is the schools that predominantly black kids go to. Those are the ones falling on students, not the ones in the fan, you know?
Right.
So it's like there are issues in the public schools in Richmond, but we already see how when there's money and when there's community involved in schools, we see this in Richmond today, that the schools can be better. So how to get that money into the schools and how to get more community involvement. So I am a community organizer. I do work with LGBTQ issues, Black Lives Matter, the environment, Fight for 15. So I come at my approach to working with folks is to be intersectional, to really think about the whole individual and what they need. So thinking about race, thinking about class, thinking about gender and sexuality, disability or ability, and age. It's all important to consider that when talking about human beings. And what are we doing here? Talking about human beings, right?
Right.
So as it manifests in policy, and budget decision making at City Council that I could be doing if you elect me on November 8th, you know, my approach is different because I'm really can take the time to figure out what the individual needs are. I'm a social worker. I'm used to making assessments with people. Well, one, hearing out their needs, then making an assessment, and then making a collaborative work plan from there. And the key word in that is collaborative. I'm not going to diagnose someone and send them off with a plan I think that works best for them. It's what about the individual ones and how we can make that work for them. Okay,
great. So I'm going to make this a little tougher.
Okay.
You know, because we got to ask the tough questions.
Ask the tough questions.
Because this is black media. Are you familiar with 1968 HUD Act Section 3?
HUD Act Section 3. So Section 3 is describing the conditions of public housing and the folks in public housing, yes?
Okay, so we say RRHA.
Yes.
Right? We say Section 8.
Yes.
Right? So Section 8 deals with the housing.
Section 8 is housing.
Section 3 is supposed to deal with redeveloping those residents.
Yes, yes.
Not just to get jobs. And we noticed that the current city council keep using the term job. They refuse to use the word ownership, have a stake in. Being redeveloped as carpenters, brick masons, plumbers, to actually go get a contractor's license so that you can get the actual 40% of the city budget contract that is now going to big corporate international construction companies.
Yes.
So if we, the black vote, get behind you, right, how would you address the 1968 HUD Act Section 3 non-compliance as it stands with RRHA, with the building of that new library there. It even reflects the building of this building behind us.
Social services.
Right, because it's 1968. So everything since 1968 that was built that received federal dollars, 40% of that budget was supposed to go to low-income residents,
and it didn't.
Who happen to be majority black, but not all black. There are some Mexicans in there. Right,
people of color in general.
But,
poor folks.
but the company that got the contract for the jail, the company that got the contract for the George Bush Courthouse, the Richmond Center, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. It's too big for me to even mention all the buildings. But those 3 buildings recently were built, was given to a company that's out of Germany. And the Section 3 says that it must be given to people who live locally here in our residence.
So it's already a violation.
How would you do something differently about that if elected?
Yeah, I appreciate that question because not only is it really deep and important, but I just learned something here.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
you know, I can be transparent. I don't know everything.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm down to listen and I'm down to learn.
Right. I asked a good question.
You did ask a good question.
Yeah.
So as it pertains to Section 3 and what I would do as a city council person, there's always this conversation about the jobs. You know, and it's so vague. And
we want ownership.
Exactly. And then a lot of folks will tell you that, oh, it just comes down to education, period. Everyone has had a teacher. Everyone has had the opportunity to gain that education. A lot of property developers will talk about, well, we just need to teach minority business owners how to interact with the government, and then things will be okay. Someone taught that white business owner how to do that.
Say that again.
Someone taught that white business owner how to do that. Someone sat down and took the time and was intentional about, this is the form you need to fill out.
You know who taught them skills.
Exactly.
You know who taught them skills,
exactly.
Right? We had all the skills coming out of slavery.
Yeah.
So a white man had to be taught skills.
Exactly.
Then he learned the skills, he formed a union, and blocked us out.
Exactly.
And then underdeveloped us to have no skills in this present day and time so that we could rendezvous with destiny.
So as it pertains to what I would do on city council is, and focusing, because I do think education is so very important, you know, and it really does start with the young ones, as well as taking care of our folks, you know, who are older. But not everyone is destined for college. College is actually a trap now to put more people in debt. Exactly.
Say that again.
College is a trap to put more people in debt, you know. I'm not saying that higher education isn't important. I just completed my master's degree.
But it's a game being played on people.
It's a game being played, and it's this dangling American dream, American pie. You got to go to school, you got to do this, you got to do that.
That's that dog chasing that rabbit.
Exactly, exactly. But look, college isn't for everyone, and I quite honestly don't recommend grad school for a lot of people, even if you are really smart.
But owning your own business, coming out of public housing, and getting a multi-million-dollar contract from the city would dramatically change your life.
Exactly, exactly. Not only your life, but your family's life.
And your friends.
Exactly.
And other residents in the city that you could give them employment from your ownership stake given to you by this great city of Richmond.
Exactly. So creating a registrar of black businesses, black entrepreneurs.
We already got the development groups ready. We already got insured, we're ready, but they won't comply.
Yes, but being on city council and having that authority to really prioritize those developers, those hardworking folks, I think is so important. And I think people currently on city council and school board and our current mayor, they don't really look to empower black folks. Really and truly. So it's difficult in Richmond right now.
Or poor whites.
You're right about that. And people of color in general.
Let's not leave out other nationalities who are poor.
Yep, you're right
because
about that.
we don't want to repeat the same thing that others did to us.
Yes, yes, yes.
But we do demand a great stake in ownership in anything that's built in this city that receive federal dollars.
Yes. So do you feel like I answered your question?
Girl, you did great.
Okay, what's your next one?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. What can we do about helping to get people off of welfare, off of the food stamp rolls, and what would that 1968 Section 8, or Section 3 compliance part, once brought into compliance, how would that actually help get people off the welfare in the food stamp rolls.
Yeah, so it really comes down to the people who work in this building right here. Social services, like I said, I'm a social worker. You know, I understand these really complex dynamics that play out. Social workers are gatekeepers, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing. We just are. It's our profession.
Right.
Literally guide
It can
people
be used
through
positively or
it
negatively.
Can be used positively. Social workers have so much authority in people's lives, and very little accountability, actually. So we really need to tighten up our social services, make sure that federal funding goes to this building, but not only that, they're not the building infrastructurally, but the services the building provides. Let me clarify that.
Right.
But we have to understand that social workers are human beings.
Right.
They get stressed out. There's all this stuff. There's
and
all
they
these
come with baggage
and
too.
they come with their own
But
baggage.
let's say for the record, majority of the people that work in that building are some decent people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, social workers, you get into it for a reason, you know? But at the same time, we all have our biases. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. I think better social work education that is culturally competent, not only to the intersections of people's lives, but to the history and the legacy of the people in Richmond.
Right.
To not make it so, oh, you're just poor and black, so you have the same story as everyone else. No, you're from this city that has a specific history and specific legacy.
That's
and
attached to.
Exactly. So having actually culturally competent social workers, I think is really key to then be able to not save someone, but empower someone to do the work that they need to do. And this isn't like a bootstrap thing. Not saying you need to like go work hard and pull yourself up.
Right, because what we said was 8 years ago, we set out to develop, because they said we needed to have a development group. We need to be a developer. We needed to be the $1 million insurance and everything. We got all that. We got all our ducks lined in a row, but we still can't get compliance after we fought so many years to get the law on the book. Now the law been sitting on the book since 1968. Now we got to fight to get them to comply with the book.
Yep.
So I'm pulling my own self up by my bootstraps. We got our construction teams ready. Everything that they asked us to comply with. I'm talking about Bradley Construction. You ever heard of King Saline California, former head of the NAACP, right? All of these people, we were just here at the city council meeting. We're going to another meeting on the 3rd, right?
Okay.
Hopefully you'll be there, right? And you can see that we have our ducks in a row.
Okay.
What we're facing is a brick wall from people who want to steer us towards just having employment, not ownership.
Go get that job, you know?
Yeah, go get that job.
Yeah.
You see? Go get that job.
I just want to make this connection real quick with the baseball stadium in Shockoe Bottom. They were
on the
talking
African
about
burial
on the
ground.
African burial ground, talking about how it would create jobs. Who has ever worked at a baseball stadium and the kind of like BS minimum wage job that would put someone in when Richmond's minimum wage is still $7.25, which is not enough to live on? So talking about that's going to be able to help people raise up out of anything? No, it's not. It's
if you had gave
job.
me 40% of the budget that was spent on that new jail, I could have given a lot of people some jobs. If you had gave me 40% of that budget that it took to build, because you know the Martin Luther King Jr. Bridge was built in 1968 too.
Oh,
come on now.
I did not know that.
Right. So all of the retro pay, will those companies be forced to give that money back? Or will the city absorb that and give that money to those people that they never gave to since 1968?
I would like to put that up to a vote, because quite honestly, it's my job to be the voice of the people.
Right.
So what I do in city council is I create processes for people to be able to engage authentically. It's not my job
Say it again, authentically.
Authentic processes.
Because based on the current condition, it's not authentic.
Yes, it's not.
They just listen to us and walk out of there.
You've been to a city council meeting where the councilors are on their damn phone?
Or asleep.
Yes, that's
I got footage of them sleep.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful because we've been waiting the 40 years it took to put it on the book in 1968, and then been waiting since 1968, and you got the audacity to go to sleep.
Absolutely.
I need somebody bright-eyed like you, attentive like you,
yes, and
that's going to come before the black media like you did today. You know what I'm saying? And tell the people honest, authentic solutions.
Yes, and I just want to say something else I think that sets me apart from most everyone who's running for city council, minus a few good folks, is I would do this job as a full-time position, 40+ hours a week. The people, the 9 counselors that we have, traditionally do this as a part-time job. They all have other careers and families, and I ain't knocking that. I'm just saying, if you're gonna do a job, you know?
That's right. That's right. And we appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely.
And,
thank you for having me.
When you win, we would like to interview you again.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So are there any debates coming up between y'all?
There is going to be, they don't call them debates in Richmond, even though they totally are debates. We have candidate forums. And so the next one for City Council's 2nd District with the Fan District Association, that's going to be October 13th, I believe. Fact check me, that's a Thursday. It's going to be at Binford Middle School starting at 7 p.m. And those are all your 2nd District City Council candidates. So folks who live in Jackson Ward, Carver, the Fan area, even the VCU dormitory, Scott's Addition, Rosedale, Sherwood Park over in Northside near the stadium. Y'all come out, hear from your representatives, the people who really could be representing you, and make that decision. Who is a values-based candidate? Who is really going to represent the interest of marginalized people, poor folks, poor black and white and Hispanic and LGBTQ, disabled, elderly, and young people? Who's got that perspective on lock?
No doubt, and we appreciate it. This has been another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. Thank you.